This is 14 Minutes of Fame. I'm James Bradford.
And I'm Caroline Ritchie.
How are you doing this day?
I'm doing pretty great. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. I'm hot and sweaty, and I've been working all day, and I've been having nothing but fun.
You've not been working today.
Well, I kind of put in a lot of work today.
Oh, God. Here we go about the work that I didn't put in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that a little later. Let's talk about Raw Wheels today.
I'd love to. I think it's been a real exciting week, releasing our first episode of Rock Wheels.
I know. I'm so happy it's finally out and up, and we have all these people who've been interested in seeing it and been asking us questions about it. It's just really refreshing to have it out there, and I don't have to explain it anymore. I don't have to hide it anymore. We went through so much with this show. We learned so much, from, production standpoint into piecing a car together in 7 days. How do you feel about that?
It was done quickly, and we made it happen. Well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we did make it happen. So,
how do you feel about those ball joints?
Ball joints were a problem. Brakes were a problem. We had the first thing was when we got the Fury. I thought that we could take the brakes off the Fury and interchange them onto the Roadrunner. The issue with that is the Fury is a C-body, and the C-body in 1973 they have great brakes on them, but the issue with that is that's the only car that will not interchange with any other A, B, or E-body style cars out there. They will not interchange off of the C-body. And
well, so I don't confuse anybody, Mopar classified cars that they made, they still do, but back then they classified mainly their older cars as A, B, C, and E, I believe. I was reading this on a forum today because I was really curious about it. The Roadrunner's a B-body, and the Fury's a C-body. And I'm just going to run this down a little bit because I was reading this earlier and thought it was pretty funny how they have it broken down. So like I said before, they used it to classify mid-size cars, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive cars, whatever Mopar produced. So the A-bodies are mostly the Dusters, the Darts, the Valiants, the early Barracudas, basically all of the smaller cars that they had back in that day. Then the B-bodies are Chargers and Satellites, which are more the mid-size kind of cars. And then the C's were the Furies, New Yorkers, 300s, Newports, which are, this is really funny, the large land yacht line is what this guy said on here. And then this one's pretty funny too. The E-body were the Barracudas, the Challengers from like 1970 to 1974. The ones you can't afford without a rich uncle, which I thought was hilarious.
A rich uncle.
Without a rich uncle.
Or grandfather. Or dad.
So having these classifications allows us to have some parts that interchange. Not all parts, of course, but a lot of, parts, the essentials, suspension, brakes, stuff like that.
Most of them will interchange except for the C-body in that year to the more popular cars, which are B and E bodies. Everybody likes to hot rod those, muscle car those up. They're just more popular.
Yeah.
So A-bodies are popular. Your Darts and your Dusters. There are a lot of people that like those, but it's not my style. I like the B-body myself. That's my preference. So we got into the brakes. Brake was an issue. We ended up having to order the brakes. Overnighted them.
We learned a lot about Chinese parts that day too.
Yes, Chinese parts.
We had a couple of little hiccups here and there.
They sucked. They were metric. They're metric bolts. Like putting metric bolts on an American classic muscle car was killing me. Yeah. It was killing me. I was going with a standard wrench, which I like going with a standard wrench on an American muscle car, and I had to go back to the metric box and get the metric wrenches out to put that brake kit on. So it was very disappointing.
The soft lines were crazy long. Some of that wasn't even featured, but just little things that just annoyed us the entire time.
And the ball joints, the ball joints were a fiasco. It literally, I had no idea I have a ball joint press, like a cheap Chinese ball joint press that I've used one time on a GM car, and I just thought that they pressed out the same way. And
You were working so hard on those. We got so many random little things done that day around you.
oh yeah,
While you were
working
messing
like
with us.
ants, and I'm like trying to pull these ball joints. Well, so there's a socket that goes on there, which I have a buddy that actually contacted me, and after he saw the episode that's out right now, he contacted me and he said, "Hey man, I've got 4 of those sockets. You could have come and borrowed one." And of course, I just didn't do any research on it. I just thought I knew. And sometimes I learned the hard way. Most times I learned the hard way, unfortunately.
Yeah, we definitely made some mistakes along the line. Also talking about, from a production standpoint, we got more used to being in front of the camera. I mean, we've, shot little tidbits here and there, but, never really developed a sense of being comfortable in front of a camera. So I'm sure you can see that progression, from day 1 to day 4, but especially when you go into the last few days of this journey, you're going to see us be a lot more comfortable. I mean, you can probably even see it through the podcast, too.
People need to understand that we literally we were having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we said, let's shoot
Those were some good sandwiches.
let's shoot a YouTube show.
I remember that.
And Sean was there, and like, yeah, man, I'll shoot it. And thank goodness Sean was there, and he's got the cameras, and he's got the talent to go through and do the editing. And you and I just said, hey, this might be cool. And we were just having a lot of fun with it, obviously. But if you see us from day 1 to day 4, we're so much more comfortable being filmed, because when you're on camera, it's tough to be yourself sometimes, like when you're starting out. And then I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, we still don't know what we're doing, but we're obviously getting more comfortable.
100%. I mean, I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. We had already picked up the Roadrunner, and we were going to pick up the Fury, and we were like, let's do a show. Let's make this happen. We've been talking about this and thinking about it.
Picking up the Fury.
Did I say picking up the Roadrunner?
Well, we picked up the Roadrunner.
We picked up the Roadrunner before we picked up the Fury, though.
Yes. We did, but that's not how we...
That's exactly how it went.
I know that's how it went, but that's not how we portrayed it in the show.
No.
People need to know that we got the Roadrunner, and you filmed the Roadrunner, us getting picked up, and that's kind of what gave us the idea of maybe we should do a show. And we were sitting around, and we had all the players, you, me, and Sean, and Chris, and Nick, and we just all kind of sit around, let's do this. And that's when the Fury came into play, because then we found the Fury really cheap. We went and picked it up. We broke an axle in the trailer. We sat outside McDonald's for 4 hours waiting for someone to come and rescue us. Thank God it was a beautiful night, and not one mosquito was out. It was
3 a.m. night. I remember that.
3 a.m. We got back at 3 a.m. in the morning. Breaking an axle in a trailer, I've never done that before. And I've been across country with this trailer. Thank goodness that this didn't happen further away, because we were only about 2 hours away.
I mean, I knew you jinxed us, though. You were talking about blowing a tire the whole time. And I was like, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. And then we break an axle.
And we're just talking, listening to the radio or whatever, and I look out the rearview window, and it's a James Bond smoke shield going out the back of it's just a smoke screen out the back of the truck, and there's nobody behind us, and it must have been happening for like the last mile or so. And I pull over to the side, and all these cars came by us, really, really slow, and we got stopped. We took the tire off the axle. The axle didn't break completely, but it took the tire off.
That was a pretty clean break.
Well, the axle still stayed together. So we got to the gas station. It was only about 2 miles up the road, and luckily there was a McDonald's there. So that was kind of fun to sit there, and it was a beautiful night. And Mike, I, and Ozzo, and who else came?
Chris and Jonathan.
Chris and Jonathan. They came in Jonathan's truck with his trailer. And
mind you, we had plans that night. We set this up where we were just going to drive up there, get it, come back, do it all kinds of quick. He was going to make it back for whatever he was doing. I was going to make it back for whatever I was doing. I had plans that night. I know you did too. We're like, we'll be back by 9, no big deal. and it was 6 or 7 o'clock when that broke, and we were like, we're done. We're toast.
So anyway, I had my first Big Mac in like 5 years that night.
And your first soda of the year, wasn't it? Or second soda of the year?
Yeah, I said I wasn't drinking any soda, and I had a soda because it was just pretty stressful, actually. I mean, we were relaxed, but it was pretty stressful.
So you deal with it with a soda.
Yeah. So we touched on the C-body. I think, I'd like to get into what happened today.
Oh, yeah. Today was awesome.
I think the day was a pretty special day. For me, I woke up. We had a plan to all get in a truck. Sean was going to go with us, and we were going to film us picking up a car.
A different car.
Well, we're going to film us picking up a car. I texted last night at 12 because I was having second thoughts, and I thought, that's just probably not the car we should do or have on our show. Maybe it's just not. I wasn't feeling it all of a sudden. You guys really wasn't feeling it either, so I just kind of canceled the trip. And I got up this morning early. I had to do some things around the shop early, and I was sitting around, and my phone beeped. And my Facebook, instant messenger, it just got back with me. It basically told me a car that I'd been looking at like a week ago had been relisted. Now, this car had been sold as I was thinking about going and purchasing it. And then it comes back up, relisted at a lower price. And I'm like, oh, and it's like a really cool car. It's like one of my list cars. It's really low on the list. It's not.
You didn't really even know it was on your list until you saw it.
No, it's been on there. I've always thought that I wanted one of these. Nick's been with me on road trips, and we've always talked about it. And I wanted to go by and see him, but see some that we were on the road, and we would say pick up something for him or picking something else up, and they were always out of the price range, or just they weren't complete. Something I didn't really want to get into as far as restoring or getting back on the road. But as I was a kid, all you guys are 50 years old or around my age are going to remember a show called Hardcastle and McCormick. Now, Hardcastle and McCormick was based around I think it was called a Mirage. It was kind of a Porsche kit car. It had gull-wing doors that opened up, and the guy jumped everything, kind of like the Knight Rider car. And, that was just a thing of the 80s. They had these cars, and they did this. And so this car has always been on my list. I've always sparked interest when I see them. Well, this thing popped up, and it's a 917. It's a Porsche 917. Okay, sorry. Porsche 917. I'm so excited about it.
He has been losing his marbles before and after we got this car. We picked up a Porsche 917 on, it still makes me giggle, a 1964 Volkswagen Beetle frame and motor. It's a 1600cc Volkswagen motor. Oh, it's the goofiest thing in the world.
If you are listening to us on Spotify, come over to HH Wheels, our YouTube channel, and take a look, because it is behind us right now. And it is so cool.
It's pretty killer. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty stoked about it. Going back to kind of what you were saying earlier about when it popped up online. This thing's been online for what feels like weeks. I know I saw it a while ago.
You've seen it,
and he's never seen it. And then it came up the other day, and he was interested. He was like, "Oh, this is so cool! I would love to have this." It was listed for some outrageous number, and then it sold. And then he was disappointed about it. And then it popped up this morning. And, here we are. And he was just unbelievably giddy on the way there to pick it up. He was like, wow, this is a nice neighborhood. Like, this would be so cool to see this thing in here. And we rolled up, and this thing just was shining. Bright green glitter, just shining, because it was parked right in the sun in front of her house. And, it was just so funny. We were checking it out and opening doors.
It's not without its problems, but it's a complete car. The gentleman, unfortunately, has passed away that did own it, and his wonderful wife was selling it, and she was so nice. But when he bought it 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is the information that we got. He bought it 9 years ago. He drove it around the neighborhood, and the very next day he started doing some work to it, and he cut some wires, and the car never ran again. he just had it in the garage and he never worked. He tried to work on it, never got it running again. So it's been sitting for a while. We had a brake caliper that was where one of the brakes was locked up, so we had to pull it on the trailer with the brake drum locked up and stuff. But we did get it on the trailer and get it loaded up. You made a sweet deal on it.
It is pretty cool. I mean, we got a great set of floor pans, a whole set of floor pans for it. I'll probably use them on my Beetle because the floor pans are pretty great on this. It's original 5-lug, VW 5-lug, and they put an adapter on it, a smaller 5-lug adapter, to put these slot mags on it.
And that's just to make the stance wider is what they did on that.
But I mean,
so
it just looks cool. It doesn't look like, it's a Volkswagen in disguise, obviously.
I love the Goodyear stencils on the cheap tires.
Yes, they're Mastercraft tires that someone stenciled Goodyear on, and it is cool. Just hilarious yet amazing all at the same time. This car is super iconic. I have never seen one in person. I've seen a few online, but I am just so...
It's like sitting in a jet fighter when you sit in it. I mean, you're
leaning back. You are full extension.
So I've got something special this week. Okay, I've got a challenge. I'd like to challenge you.
Oh no!
And I'd like to challenge us both. Actually, I'm going to do this really quick. My challenge to you is for this week. Okay, is to run 1 mile, run or walk 1 mile every day for 1 week. And do 20 sit-ups.
Are you calling me fat?
No, I'm going to do the same. Okay? And then next week when we come back, we're going to see how we feel. It's just going to be really quick, okay? Because we want to promote health here, too. We want to promote being healthy and being in shape.
Yeah, because when you're working on cars, you're not exercising.
I'm not exercising. Oh. Okay. Well, I exercised today. Of course, I did all the work putting this car on the trailer. And that's what I was talking about. Working so hard and sweating my butt off earlier in our cast here. I did all the work putting this thing on, sweating, and unfortunately there was a little bit of dog feces that I had to crawl through, which was not fun.
You gotta say though, it was pretty worth it. It was also super cool because we drove a couple hours away to go pick this up.
Charleston.
And every single person that passed by us either looked like did a full rubberneck turn,
absolutely,
or gave us a thumbs up, or took a photo, or talked to us about it. I mean, it was pretty cool. It doesn't run or drive any yet, but we have plans for it.
This
for sure.
car turns heads everywhere it goes and everywhere it went.
Yeah, so thank you again to that really sweet lady, and honestly, thank you to Floyd for having an appreciation for something so cool.
Yeah, and we're going to dedicate this. I mean, right now, I'd like to dedicate this to our whole podcast today to Floyd. We've all had people that we've known or have been around, families and friends and family members have dealt with cancer, and unfortunately, we lost Floyd to cancer, and he is. And he obviously was a hot rodder and car guy, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But I just wanted to dedicate this to him, and I think that his nice wife, I hope she appreciates that.
Yeah, she was a real sweetheart. I mean, again, thank you. If she watches this, thank you for helping us out. This is amazing. This is super cool that we can feature this and that we can show an appreciation for this car, in honor of Floyd, but also for the fact that it's just a super cool car.
Yeah, and it's going to live on. It's going to get going down the road, and
we're going to do some fun stuff with it for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to go to waste. I promise that. Also, a really fun thing, after annoying me about it for the last couple podcasts, we have an email now.
Yay!
So our email is hhw14minutesoffame@gmail.com. I'll leave it in the description as well. We're looking to get some questions from some of our viewers. So if you want to go ahead and send us a question or send us your car or tell us about your car, if we bring up your email on our podcast, we'll send you a free t-shirt.
I like that.
So feel free to throw your address in there too to save us the headache of having to email you back. Also, go ahead and check out the Hot Wheels episode if you haven't, or watch it again. I mean, we've watched it quite a few times. We've been working on cars and we throw it on the TV in here. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us out. Go ahead and click the notifications button, the little bell that's right below the video, to get notified whenever we post a podcast, fun video, Hot Wheels, whatever it may be. You want to go ahead and talk about our sponsors?
We'd like to thank Fuel Clothing, the Bike Doctor of Hilton Head. Who else?
Rebels Navy,
Rebels Navy.
Land Speed Automotive, and Carolina Towing, because Harry yet again saved the day with his trailer.
Carolina Towing. Yes. And what do we got? Cross Island Cruisers. Cross Island Cruisers in the house. Out.